Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Virgo energy. And we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because people are at different emotional maturity levels in their Virgo energy. High Virgo energy would be about being a spiritual leader, kind of where you walk the talk. And that you've grown and healed and matured yourself, learned some lessons in life, tempered your more worldly, egoic nature. And, everybody's at different stages in life. Our more worldly, shadowy nature can be our pride, our ego, our fear, insecurity, our lust, our greed, our lazy nature, wanting reward without effort, kind of being full of ourselves, or just really being caught up still in the world. And for the first 30, 50 years of people's life, they're probably we all are kind of really caught up in the world. There's a lot of things we want to manifest and things we want to go indulge in that we are sure will make us happy. And then the truth is, there's some people who don't want to do love. Because you'd have to come out from behind your more defensive, worldly, egoic nature to be more authentically yourself and vulnerable and loving. And some people will never do that. And then there's some people who think, I don't want to do that anyway, I could get hurt, or just haven't learned that lesson yet, and they think they can live maybe more from their mind than their heart, or that people will want to stay in a relationship because they're attractive or charming or have social clout or money or status, or will have sex with them, and different strokes for different folks, but some people do want to be in deep, meaningful relationships with people who have grown up and healed and matured themselves and aren't more about themselves or more about the ego and image, or in a much more self-protective nature where it is more like creating an illusion that it's love, but it's kind of more just indulging yourself in a relationship. And we all tap into Virgo energy. So this could be something that Virgo energy at large is dealing with right now. So it might be something that more impacts people who are Virgo or have significant Virgo placements in their chart. But Virgo energy within itself, in a world of duality, battles between what is my truth. Am I more about me or these things of the world, or other things I would rather make my life about or indulge in that I think will make me happy? Or am I willing to work through my fears and my insecurities and my immature nature to grow up and take action in truth and love? So, the overarching reason for the reading is the Two of Swords of Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. What do I think is just and fair? Should I do this or should I do that? And high vibe energy is about getting balance within yourself. I do want, in my worldly nature, some of these things of the world, just like everybody. But in my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, I'm going to go about building my life to obtain some of these things of the world that I want from truth and love and justice and fairness. And other people aren't. And so in shadowy, the Two of Swords can be that some people like to view themselves as being more like a high vibe person, but they like to stay in denial of the fact that they're really driven, more motivated for how it maybe benefits them and their status and their ego or their image or something. And at the center of the reading, at the heart of the reading, is the Chariot card, which can talk about moving forward victoriously and successfully. In high vibe, the Chariot is supposed to be about love and emotional balance. So the Chariot can be about balance. The Two of Swords, represented by the scales of justice, is to be about balance. But shadowy energy can be, I'll just try to create the illusion that that's my truth and that I'm more just, fair, stable, balanced, and loving than I really am. At the end of the reading is the Eight of Pentacles, so that people will work with me, so people will hire me, so people will promote me, so people will date me, marry me. Some people are who they say they are. They harness high vibe, and the Eight of Pentacles is Virgo. Some people have done the work to grow and heal and mature themselves. They are balanced within themselves, and they maintain balance within themselves. from love. They offset their more immature, fearful nature with like love and encouragement. And that takes work and effort to keep maintaining balance within yourself so you kind of don't tip out of balance and drive your life off into the ditch. Making your life more about indulging poor behavior in yourself or others. And that takes work and effort. You constantly, it's like if you're to look at life as like this ball that you kind of got to roll up this slight incline, slow, steady steps every day, focus more on truth and love. And that's high vibe Virgo. Other people, their long term goal is to look victorious and successful. So, who should I work with in order to look victorious and successful? Whether they love them or not, or love that job or not, or, it's just a means to an end, kind of living a little bit more from their mind than their heart. So, what's going on in Virgo energy? We have the Star card, Aquarius energy, which can be I have a dream. Everybody has a dream. It's just how do I accomplish that dream? The Eight of Swords is Gemini energy about our free will dualistic nature. And the difference between the Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords is the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy, which can be I have this dream I want, and I want to accomplish this dream. But again, what truth is it that drives and motivates me? And that's Gemini energy. In our dualistic nature of free will, what is my truth? Do I want to work with other people who are more, look at life from a higher perspective, have more hope and faith and belief in love, who put in work and effort? If I work with them, they're going to expect me to be that kind of person, and I would have to put in more work and effort. And some people are in a mental prison about doing that because of the Four of Wands. Partly because then it can't just be more about themselves. Because both the Four of Wands and the Two of Wands is Aries energy, and Aries energy is about the self. You'd have to, in the Nine of Pentacles of Virgo energy, become more independent of being just more about yourself. Or more about the ego and the image, or indulging yourself, or hiding behind your ego, and kind of just trying to live more from your mind than your heart. You'd really have to become kind of independent of living more from your mind than your heart, kind of making it in this self-protective nature that, it should kind of maybe be more about me. And I could get hurt doing love, so I don't really want to do love, but I want to be in relationships with people. But I want to live more from my mind than my heart. Well, the problem with that is other people who aren't more about themselves or more about the ego and the image or their self-protective, defensive nature have become independent of that nature within themselves. And they are moving forward from love, harnessing high vibe Aries energy of I have a dream. I want justice. And I am willing to put in work and effort. And I'm going to listen to my intuition, is what the Two of Swords can also talk about the different people in the world. And I might be willing to get to know people and work together with other people, but I'm going to listen to my intuition about who's who. Who are the people who seem to be more about themselves or like to live more from their mind than their heart, or more caught up in the ego and image? Kind of looking for someone in the Nine of Cups reverse who isn't more about indulging themselves. Because if you want to live more from your mind than your heart, but you want to be in a romantic relationship, but you kind of want to wear a false mask that you're motivated and inspired by love, but that's kind of more of a mental construct of a way of putting in work and effort to look like you're motivated and inspired by love, but really you're up in your head about love because you're afraid of being hurt. Well, then it is kind of like being in a relationship where you're indulging yourself in a relationship with people because you still haven't decided if you want to do love or not, because you could get hurt doing love. So the Nine of Pentacles the Nine of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups can talk about becoming more independent of your shadowy, self-protective, defensive nature and not indulging kind of your more immature nature, because the Eight of Wands is Sagittarius energy and shadow. That can be kind of being an immature player. Got some more lessons to learn in life. And for some of the people that this is how they operate in the world, no, I think I look victorious and successful in some way, male or female. I don't think I really have to do love. I could be attractive, I could be charming, I could have money, I could have status, I could have image, I could be charming, I have a good social status or whatever. I don't think I have to become independent of my more worldly, shadowy nature or being more about myself. I have an idea. I'm going to keep putting in this work and effort with people who I think if I work together with them, I'll have that status or image or those things that I value. But it doesn't really work out the way that they want. It depends on what you want. The Tower can talk about letting go of a foundation. In our free will, we have the free will to build a solid foundation based on truth and love and justice and fairness and other people treating other people the way they like to be treated, healing and growing and maturing ourselves so we're not in an unstable foundation. And we detach from our more shadowy nature to become independent of it, love ourselves, get balanced within ourselves, listen to our intuition, quit indulging our more immature, shadowy nature, and we put in work and effort to keep healing and growing and maturing ourselves. And people can do that in their life, and some people are doing that in their life, but we can have things come up in our life where, wow, that person's attractive, wow, that person's whatever, and we could be tempted to go repeat an old pattern instead of continuing to move forward in our life, kind of from the Nine of Pentacles down to the Eight of Pentacles. There are opportunities in our life to go repeat old patterns, right? We could go let this go, and we could go indulge in this. And some people are like, but, if people have learned these lessons in life where if I go indulge my more immature nature of less greed, pride, ego, fear, insecurity, codependency, I'm probably going to get in relationships with people who are in that energy too and are happy I'm in that energy. And I might be repeating an old pattern. If I'm in relationships with people who are just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive, why would I do that? And then we have to determine if, nope, it's one thing to have other opportunities in our life, right? Well, we might have other opportunities in our life to go do something, right? Well, partly why we might think of doing that is maybe because we're not emotionally fulfilled. That's what the Nine of Cups can talk about. In the foundation we're in. And the foundation we could be in could look very stable, victorious, successful. But is it kind of overwhelming and not really what it appears to be? Are we in a more mismatched relationship? Did people get in relationships with people and not realize that they kind of have a different truth? Libra energy, I view it as represented by the King of Swords, holding a sword of truth. Gemini kind of is about our dualistic nature and what our truth is. Did we get in a more mismatched relationship? where one person kind of does have more hope and faith and belief and love, but then they got in a relationship with someone who might want to keep moving forward in the relationship, but they're aligned with a different foundational truth. So it's kind of like a house divided can't stand. One person wants it to be more just and fair, be more independent of our more shadowy nature and the world, and maybe from another foundation, which that other foundation could be being more about ourselves or our fear or insecurity, but it also can be friends, family, or maybe another relationship that maybe people really hadn't become independent of. And while some people could be like, whatever I had been in, that didn't work out. We've all been in jobs, friendships, or relationships that didn't work out. We can be in a little bit of a mental prison about if our dream's going to come into reality and if we're going to find someone who's single and seems like we get along and it seems stable, kind of in balance to a degree, and we could move forward with people. But as we move forward with people, could kind of both the Two of Wands or the Aquarius star card and the Nine of Cups. So Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries can all kind of represent a dream that we had. And again, we can want to be in relationships, but then we can all want jobs, we can all want friendships, we can all want romantic relationships. We get in those jobs, those friendships, and relationships, and then we could kind of realize that our kind of what drives and motivates us and what we think is just and fair in a way is different. And we might come to find out that one person is more about themselves. A little shadowy Aquarius can be a little full of themselves. And anytime I mention any of the zodiac signs, they do not have to be that zodiac sign. We all harness these different zodiac sign traits and characteristics in more worldly or shadowy or high vibe ways. So it's to listen to your intuition about who's who. And we could have met some people who seemed very victorious and successful. We could have viewed them as people who weren't more immature or self-indulgent. We could have viewed them as people who seemed to be inspired to be more independent. They seemed more independent. They seemed more balanced and stable than some other people we'd been in a relationship with. We thought this was someone our dreams could come into reality with. And so we move forward with them. But again, one person could be more motivated and inspired to be in the relationship where people keep growing and healing and maturing themselves and keep working on becoming independent of things that manipulate them. Their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, people in their life and the world, and things that tempt them, that when they had gotten out of certain situations, like a former relationship, they really had, accepted that wasn't moving forward, were committed to kind of putting in work and effort from the Two of Wands to the Eight of Wands, or the Ten of Wands, is the Eight of Wands. I am inspired to move forward in this. I'm not just indulging myself in it, I have, in my Virgo energy, invested in this. I became single from that or independent of that for a reason. There could have been other people I had been in a relationship with that, again, maybe how I wanted to move forward and what I thought was victorious and successful, and my dreams was kind of different than how they wanted to move forward and their dreams. Like some people could have had a goal of, again, whatever, bringing some type of dream into reality. And you thought some of the people that you got either work for or got in relationship with, that you thought you were on the same page. And then as time went by, you kind of realized the other person maybe kind of seemed in two minds about doing that and moving forward in that way, and maybe quit being more about themselves or even being single, because Virgo is represented by the Knight of Pentacles, and the Knight of Pentacles wants to become the King of Pentacles, and the King and Queen of Pentacles is the only marriage to the deck, and it doesn't matter male or female. Some people wanted to be in a more formal commitment, not just indulging themselves kind of in a relationship forever. I thought if we kept moving forward and we saw that we like each other or we love each other and we seem to have these common things and we have similar things that we like to invest our time, energy, and effort into, that we would quit being more about investing in ourselves or even being more about the world, to work together to bring this dream into reality and have a balance of these things of the world and love. And then together, we could, who knows what we could create, And some people that we had been in a relationship were like, I don't know if I want to do that. So we moved on from that job or relationship, and we go get in another job, friendship, or relationship. And we're looking, and some people are looking for people that they don't want to just be in a relationship to be in a relationship. Like, because I'm in a mental prison, I don't know how to feel more happy or within myself, and I could feel overwhelmed or have a lot of sexual energy. And so I just want to be in a relationship because it can make me feel better. We all like friendship and community and relationship, right? And some people, we either make decisions and we work through our fears and our insecurities and our sexual nature, because our sexual nature is our kind of creative life force energy. We can channel that into other things, right? But some people can get so caught up in it that that becomes a driving factor in their life. They might not want to see the truth that that's a driving factor for the decisions they make, but some people really have a fear of being single. Well, nobody wants to maybe say single forever, but some people kind of listen to their intuition. They put in work and effort to look at life from a higher perspective, stay focused more on the big picture. I'm probably going to live 80 years, What kind of relationship do I want to be in? I don't want to make decisions more out of fear and insecurity or lust or greed, or because I'm unhappy, or because things didn't work out the way I wanted. I'm going to stay focused in high vibe Gemini on truth and love. And I'm going to listen to my intuition. And I'm going to invest, and high vibe Virgo is about also offering yourself truth and love and compassion and forgiveness. So offering those things to yourself, to know your worth and value and what you bring to the table in high vibe Virgo energy. What are my good characteristics? What aren't my good characteristics? Where can I improve myself? Where can I heal and grow and mature myself? Because I don't want to repeat an old pattern. There is lessons to be learned from that situation. What wasn't I seeing the truth of in that past situation? Was it because I was too much in my head? Was it because of these other reasons? Well, then I need to work through those reasons within me, or I could get in another relationship like that. So they do this work and effort within themselves to know their worth and value and appreciate themselves and what they bring to the table, and offer themselves love to themselves, because the Chariot is Cancer energy about love and love of self, love of others. I'm going to offer love to myself to get more balance within myself. And I don't want to make a decision, I'm going to live my life, be my job, be in my friends and family, whatever. But if I'm single, I don't want to repeat that again. So partly it could have been maybe I didn't listen to my intuition. Maybe I was living more from my mind than my heart. Um, Maybe I didn't want to see the truth of some people, even when I got in the relationship with them. I maybe could have seen some things that maybe we had different ideas. Maybe we looked at life differently. Maybe someone was more caught up in the world. Maybe I looked at life from a higher perspective. Maybe some people were more immature. Maybe some people were more codependent. Maybe people weren't very stable or grounded. There could have been warning signs, but I wanted to turn my back on those because his kind of, we wanted what we wanted. No, no, no. Shh, shh, shh. So we didn't want to listen to the truth or our intuition. And sometimes it can be that, oh no, I'm sure this person will change. I know. They're kind of immature, they're kind of bossy or controlling or full of themselves or seem more materialistically motivated or more about themselves or whatever the hell it was. Oh no, they'll change. I have hope and faith and belief and love. Well, that's great. It's good to have hope and faith and belief, and somebody could be a very stable, abundant, loving, giving person. I'm going to be loving and giving and nurturing to this person. I'm sure they'll get out of their head. I'm sure they'll quit being more about themselves or more about the world or more codependent on some other people in their life. I'm sure they'll become independent of all of that and we'll move forward. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it can, but, sometimes it doesn't because we have a different truth. And the Tower is Aries and Scorpio energy. And Scorpio energy can be, are people interested in kind of exploring the mysteries of life? And Scorpio's emotional water sign energy. We're emotionally complex human beings. Some people don't even want to put in work and effort to get to know themselves or love themselves. And they can be looking for other people. It's like, no, I want to do this in a more shadowy way. Kind of live more from my mind than my heart. Be more about the world. Be in a relationship. Maybe a little bit more about myself. And I want you to be a loving and encouraging person in my life. To try to make me feel more balanced. That's my idea of the dream relationship. I do this, you do that. My idea of the dream relationship. And they have no intention of ever letting go of like this dynamic, have no interest in becoming independent of it and getting inspired. Sagittarius of the Ten of Wands is about higher learning and education, but fire sign energy also, like Aries energy, to get inspired to put in the work and effort within themselves to work through these things that could keep them kind of more tipped out of balance. Which again could just be fear, insecurity, past pain and heartbreak, but it could be being more about themselves, have other people in their life that's a primary foundation in their life, which is like a friend or family group, but they want to be in a relationship with people, but oh, by the way, you're kind of like the third party to this relationship. If these people kind of ever have a problem with you, yeah, these people are kind of more important to me and will let you go because I'm more codependent on those people for some reason. But just like people can be more codependent on other people in their life as their primary foundation in their life, some people's primary foundation in their life that they're more aligned with is being more about them. In their ego, it has to be my way or the highway, or it has to just be more about me, and you should make your life more about me. I make my life more about me, and I think that's just and fair. You should too. But it can also just be the world at large. I'm kind of more aligned and caught up more in the world. And I don't really maybe look at life from a higher perspective, and they harness a more worldly Aquarius energy versus, well, I think there's more to being on this planet than just being about ourselves and about these things of the world, and I kind of think there's a higher truth and justice to aspire to. And it's about not letting that keep us so tipped out of balance, because high vibe energy wants us to free ourselves from being more manipulated by our more immature worldly egoic nature, because that's when in high vibe energy of truth and love and justice and creativity and inspiration and our unique talent, skills, and interests, we can give birth to something new, our full potential. And some people are like, well, that's not my truth. No, I kind of think we should make our life more about these things. And I'm good with that. I'm happy doing that. And that's when some people are like, well, for one, if you're kind of more immature, I don't want to keep indulging you in a relationship. I might have indulged you in a relationship, but again, I could have thought you were going to work through it, and I thought everybody was motivated and inspired to look at life from a higher perspective and quit being maybe more about themselves or letting friends or family or the world keep manipulating them. I thought you would become more independent over time. And then people see the truth, because that's what the tower's about, seeing the truth. Everybody has their dualistic nature and have their free will to manifest the life that maybe makes them feel safe and secure or balanced within themselves. You know, high vibe energy is about being more independent, where I quit being more caught up in the illusion of the world, which can be like, oh, I try to act this way and look this way and present myself this way so people will like me. Well, you can see where that can almost be like a form of manipulation, right? Why not go out in the world and be more authentically yourself and just treat people in a just and fair and authentic and loving way, in the way you like to be treated? And if they don't like you, they don't like you. And if they agree with you and that's their truth, you'll get along. But that means you have to be more authentically yourself. And, you know, we're either operating more from our little bit of our more of our egoic nature, which is our Leo energy, or we've kind of done this work and effort within ourselves to kind of see through the illusion of it all, and how much it can overwhelm us when we do try to be loving and nurturing and treat other people the way we want to be treated, and it doesn't work out. And that's when some people decide, I can keep letting it keep me in a mental prison. Why do some of the people of the world that I try to work with, and I'd like to work with, and I'd like to move forward with, don't really work together with me in that way, right? In our community, in our family, in our workplaces. Well, it's kind of wrapping our brain around this game of life in Sagittarius. I don't want to keep trying to get other people to like me, and that could have been the lesson people needed to learn, because we'll all repeat certain patterns and we have to go through these phases of life to learn these lessons about things that manipulate us. And for some people, you know, it could be just to see the truth. When you meet people and they show you, oh yeah, I'm kind of more immature, but I'm really fun to hang out with. Don't you want to hang out with me? I do. And we did. But now that people have kind of learned that lesson, no, now when I meet somebody who might be kind of fun to hang around, but I can see they're definitely much more immature, reckless, or whatever, you know, I might enjoy your company out in the world as a social acquaintance and as a friend, but am I going to move forward with you and put more work and effort with you? No, because I've already been in relationships with people who are like that. If I meet someone who seems to like live more from their mind than their heart, where before it's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to free this person, I'm going to make them choose love. Yeah, no, not anymore. No. If I see that that's who you are, I accept the truth of it. I listen now to my intuition, and you stay in the friend zone. And I'm going to, with anybody I meet, like, and if you meet people who are more prideful and egotistical and full of themselves, thank you for showing me the truth of who you are. You know, I'm going to kind of probably keep my distance from you. And, you know, now it's like, instead of trying to get And I do think sometimes that's what shadowy people do. They know when they meet people who are more stable, balanced, loving, just, fair, those people want people to work together with them in like a just and fair way. But some of those people, they could just have their own fears and insecurities that keep them up in a mental prison. Like, well, you seem more stable and balanced. I feel more imbalanced. And I might not want you to see the truth of it. I might view you as someone who seems more, I don't know, maybe more attractive or charming or balanced, whatever it could be. And I don't feel like I measure up. And so that can kind of be out of self protection because people just have fear of being maybe more themselves. And so maybe they could be someone who kind of kind of talking about Leo, high vibe or shadowy, kind of more about putting on a show or, you know, and being around people who might seem to be more straightforward or not putting on a show is like, that's different. I'm not even used to being around people like you or something, right? But I think as people go through life, it's kind of like, I don't want to put on a show. I don't want to keep being kind of more disappointed or overwhelmed. I'm going to accept the truth that everybody has free will. And I might not quite understand why everybody is the way they are. And that can be the Scorpio energy in the tower of Aries and Scorpio here. Is that some people haven't really gotten to know themselves and aren't more balanced within themselves and aren't more stable and grounded within themselves. And so, in our more shadowy nature, it can be petty, envious, jealous, manipulative, and kind of like, well, if I can't manipulate you, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. If you're not going to indulge me and kind of make me seem like maybe more of the privileged, pampered person or lick my boots, well, I don't really want to have anything to do with you. If you don't have a certain status or image or wearing certain clothes or have whatever, blah, 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 I don't really want anything to do with you. If you would require me to be more just and fair and balanced, no, I don't want to hang out with you. You know, who knows what the hell? It could be something shadowy. Because if you're going out in the world and you're treating other people the way you like to be treated, being just, fair, loving, encouraging, supportive, not trying to manipulate and control people, not being full of yourself, has to be my way or the highway, willing to work together with people in a just and fair way, appreciating that everybody has their own unique talent, skills, and interests, and what they can contribute in their way is just as important and valuable to accomplishing maybe the task as what you bring to it, right? There's going to be some people that's not their truth and that's not where they're at. And you accept it, and it's like, all I have to know is who works together with me in a more just and fair and balanced way. I mean, if it's work or wherever, I don't need you to be loving and encouraging, but can we work together and be independent of being up in our head to just work together and move this forward because we're trying to bring some dream into reality and we can work together kind of more in a just and fair way. We don't even have to really like each other, but can we work together to do that? And some people have a much harder time doing that with people than other people because, well, for one, again, if it's working with people who are maintaining more balance within themselves and being more just or fair or encouraging, it kind of can illuminate the truth even to them of the type of person they are. Like, oh wow, gee, you kind of seem to be pretty stable and loving and encouraging and supportive, and I know that's generally not really how I am. And then kind of can be hard. It's kind of also the thing, like with Leo energy that we were talking about. It kind of illuminates, and Virgo's about illuminating what's hidden. And say people are in relationships with people who are more just and fair and loving, but they like to think of themselves as more just and fair and loving. But as they work with people who are more just and fair and loving, it's like trying to work together with people who really are more just and fair and loving kind of could bring up some issues within themselves of realizing they don't really like that. Even though they like to think of themselves as being that kind of person. But they might like to be that kind of person, but it really is kind of being maybe a little more. They like it when the other people are more in a mental prison, where then maybe they can seem like the smarter, wiser, more stable, grounded person. I guess kind of like it makes me think about like when people are in school, say, and you get to be a senior in high school, it's kind of like, you're kind of feeling a little bit like top dog because there is no upperclassmen around and it's only younger class people around, right? But then to go somewhere else and say people go to college, well, you have to humble yourself. And that's our Leo ego energy again, to start out at the bottom. And same way if people were to move. And maybe some people want to move forward and have a dream. And Sagittarius can be about kind of going on these adventures or moving. And some people are like, I don't want to go do that. And, we all have our idea of the dream life and where we want to live and where we want to raise a family. And some people big town, some people small town, some people medium-sized town. And maybe someone wants to move forward, could be in their career. There's things about where they live that they don't like, but the other person kind of could like it, or they're close to people, and the thought of moving away, and then you kind of have to start over and maybe try to meet new people. Some people are more concerned about that within themselves versus maybe someone else they're in a relationship with, or maybe having that group and social structure for other people is very important to them to have that support and social structure. Maybe other people are a little bit more independent and kind of know how to, have their own things that they like to invest their time, energy, and effort into, where, it's not really so much of the people that, they can kind of enjoy those people maybe from a distance. Like, I can call them, I can visit them, but I don't need to have them right here in my environment, And I think as I move forward, I have these things that we like to go do. Oh, we will go do them. We will meet other people maybe, and for other people that could be more harder than other people. So, sometimes the reason isn't because of shadowiness. It's just we all have our idea of where we want to live, how we want to live, things we want to invest our time, energy, and effort into as time goes by. Sometimes some people, some things that they used to enjoy together, one person still likes to go enjoy those things and do those things, and the other people are like, the tens can talk about kind of completing a cycle. Yeah, I used to be more caught up in doing those things that at a certain stage or age of my life, but I maybe don't enjoy those things. I don't find it as emotionally fulfilling as I did back then. And I'm kind of ready to close out that phase of life, just like some people, when we were younger, we might have definitely done more of the going out and partying or whatever. And regardless of how old people get, some people still want to do that. Or when they go out and do whatever they do, they might like to do it a little bit more in excess. And the Nine of Cups and a card being in reverse can be excess, extremes. And some people really like to go to extremes, and some things they like to indulge in maybe when they go out. And some other people, they just don't care to do that anymore. And then it can kind of be where, can we both kind of quit doing it to excess? And can there be some compromise? And I think high vibe people are willing to work together with people. But again, if we have things that we could be kind of codependent on to make us feel better, make us feel like maybe we're a little more life of the party or something, you know, do we like doing the same things anymore? Do we not? So that's some of the stories in here. But there could be some people right now wondering, they have a dream. They could be in a little bit in a mental prison about thinking about what's just and fair. High vibe people want to be in relationship with other people who are high vibe. So if some high vibe people think they're in a relationship, a friendship, whether it's with your adult child, mom, dad, brother, sister, neighbor, friend, whatever, trying kind of listening to their intuition about the different people in their life. The shadowy people are more trying to use their intuition in a shadowy way to try to see if they think someone's more in a mental prison. Because shadowy energy isn't about being more truthful, authentic, and just and fair. Shadowy energy is more like, do I think I can manipulate you? So shadowy people probably don't want to be in a relationship with people who are more independent, emotionally balanced, and inspired to keep loving and believing in themselves. Because the more shadowy people never free themselves from things that manipulate them. They can move forward in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people, but then it kind of gets to that point, whether people again are in a job or a relationship, where people would like some things to be let go of. Other people that get in friendship or relationship with them could kind of see that there's some things that kind of concern them. Like, I don't know, you have a problem working together with people in a more just or fair way, or you seem to kind of be full of yourself, or a little bossy, or a little immature, or don't really want to put in the work and effort. Might want to keep working here, really want to keep working here, but there's some things that would need to be let go of. And you don't seem to want to let go of them or be more authentically inspired within yourself to put in the work and effort. And they get to that point, and maybe it could just, whatever it is that I would say, I guess it's moving forward, kind of not where it's a little bit more about them. And moving forward in a more balanced way. And again, kind of respecting people. High vibe energy is being more independent in the Nine of Pentacles, where we work together with people, we get in relationships or marriages with people. They're their own Nine of Pentacles individual. You're your own Nine of Pentacles individual. And together you get in a relationship. And the center circle is like the common goal of this dream that you're trying to manifest. In a foundation, a workplace, a relationship, a marriage. But to respect each other as their own individual who has their own dreams. And you respect them as being their own individual who has their own unique things that they like to invest their time and energy, their own unique talent, skills, and interests. Some people don't like that. They find that very overwhelming. No, you're supposed to kind of let go of your dream, and basically you're supposed to get consumed with being more about me and making it more about me. That's shadowy Aquarius energy. I'm kind of more the star of the show. Everybody else here is supposed to put aside their pride and ego and maybe put in more work and effort or be willing to detach from some things and grow up and mature themselves, but not me. And that's why some of these people, they get to, a certain stage in something, and then it kind of blows up in their face because either they're not really willing to more, not just kind of indulge themselves in the workplace, the friendship, or the relationship, to really be inspired to invest themselves in it, inspired within themselves. But anyway, people are thinking about shadowy people are trying to think of who they can manipulate. They have a dream of being in a relationship, maybe with someone who is in a mental prison about maybe even loving themselves, who might be overwhelmed. Some of those people could be deciding, yep, I'm going to move forward with that person. I am done debating it, kind of in the Two of Swords. It can be trying to think, is this aligned with my truth or is it not? Some people who are shadowy, if they think they have someone who they think will keep kind of indulging them, is less independent. They might be single, they might be loving, they might be kind of victorious and successful in some way, but they may be, and if nothing else, they just haven't figured out the truth about these shadowy people. And so long as you don't know the truth about me, and you're still kind of caught up in the illusion of me, and you still want to keep moving forward with me, well, yeehaw, let's go. Let's move this relationship forward. Let's get engaged. Let's get married. I'm going to hire you for the job. You will let me be bossy and kind of controlling and more about me, right? You really want this job, right? Perfect. You can work here. I will date you. I will marry you. There could be some high vibe people who kind of know some people in their life who are kind of shadowy, who they might know. This person might seem very stable and grounded, and in a lot of ways, maybe attractive, charming, whatever they got going on in the world, successful family or something. But that person maybe isn't very independent. That person would definitely be willing to work with them and maybe move forward in a relationship with them. But is that really the kind of person, you could imagine there's some people out there in the world who could look like shining stars, single, independent, maybe victorious and successful in some way. There could be a lot of, we could all have people who want to indulge us in a relationship. Is that what we want? Sadly, there are some people who are like that, but some high vibe people don't. Who are the people who I think are who they say they are, might have status, image, ego, look victorious or successful in some way in their own, but less willing to indulge and be more codependent or immature, who would be willing to maybe work with them. Some people are in a mental prison in a way because they might have to, well, sometimes some people have gotten out of a relationship and it's just working through emotionally detaching from that former relationship. And they don't want to get in a new relationship until they have worked through that, to basically be just and fair to the people they're getting in a relationship with. And other people don't care. I'm in a mental prison. I'm unhappy. Let me get in a relationship with you, and I'm going to stay in denial of the truth that I'm not over the people I'm in a relationship with, that I was in a relationship with. And I'm going to try to move forward with you and create the illusion I've moved on. But the whole time, they could have even gotten in relationships with people just to make it look like they moved on. No, look how victorious and successful. I'm not in my head about those people anymore. And those people kind of do that. And that was not listening to their intuition, making a decision more from their mind than their heart, for these other reasons, and they can end up feeling really overwhelmed in it because it's not aligned with their truth. And if they even keep trying to move forward with it, some of the people they've been moving forward with eventually kind of see, I don't think this is your truth. Well, what is this? You don't even seem to be happy at this job or in this friendship or in this relationship. Well, because this one didn't work out, so now I'm over here doing this. It's like, well, maybe you should go find what really does make you happy. You know? Oh, there's so many stories in here, and they're so interesting. There's some people who are in a mental prison because they really want to be in a relationship and they really wanted to move forward. They really do not want to be single. Well, if that's the reason why you move forward in a relationship, it's probably not going to work out the way you want. Even if it does keep working out, I don't think it'll be the kind of relationship that you want to be in, or it won't be more just and fair and balanced. Because again, when other people are making decisions more out of fear, insecurity, or pride, or ego, or lust, or greed, or codependency, they're going to probably get in relationships with other people who are happy they're in that energy. Possibly because they're in that energy also, and then they want you to stay in that energy with them, or they're happier in that energy, so because they like it being more about them. And then you're going to feel overwhelmed and unhappy that you were hoping somebody would be more just and fair and loving. But if they were looking maybe for someone who is more just and fair and loving, they would have gotten in a relationship with someone like that. That's why it starts within ourselves. If we want to have the possibility of having the best outcome, even though there's no guarantee, it starts within ourselves. Getting balanced within ourselves, putting in work and effort into our own fears and insecurities to have hope and faith and belief in ourselves, listen more to aligning with our more loving, intuitive nature, believing in ourselves, moving away from people who want us to be more codependent, want us to be more indulging of them, and go find other people who are doing this same work and be in friendship and relationship with them, and not necessarily get in relationships with people, but be loving and encouraging, supportive people to each other while you work through your issues, and then free yourself. And then maybe once you've kind of freed yourself, now this is kind of making me think of like AA, where they say not to date when you're maybe in AA, and work through those issues to everybody to kind of free themselves from things that manipulate them. And once they free themselves from things that manipulate them, and everybody's kind of moving forward differently than they had been moving forward, then there would be a possibility to work together. But yeah, some people could maybe like to be in a relationship with someone, but maybe they're not single. For other people, maybe they couldn't be in a relationship with someone because they work with them. And maybe, they're in a higher position of authority than them, and they don't let you date people that you work with. And of course, there could be some people who just wanted to indulge in a relationship with someone they work with, but that would be putting at risk, their jobs or something like that. So they're not going to do that. I don't know, it kind of gets to be high vibe people are going to stand up for their truth. And they're going to become independent of people and not get up in their head about people who aren't working together with them in a more just and fair way. I'm not going to indulge people. I don't know why you have a hard time working together in a more just and fair way, but I accept it. I'm going to let you live your life the way you live it and think the way you think or be the way you want to be. And I'm going to keep knowing my worth and value, and I'm going to keep working with the people in my life who do work together with me in that way. And yeah, and the thing to remember is sometimes shadowy people purposely don't work together with you and kind of turn their back to you because they don't like that you're not more indulging them or you're not more willing to defer, like you're not more immature, that you keep knowing your worth and value. And then some people, like if it's a romantic interest, you weren't in that energy when I got in a relationship with you. And I like that. I like that type of relationship when you were more in a mental prison and you didn't maybe love yourself and you were more overwhelmed. But if you did work within yourself during the course of the relationship or the friendship, well, now you're not the same person, but I am, and I still like this kind of friendship or relationship dynamic. You can go, I'm not happy being in a friendship or relationship with someone who's in that energy. Because in order to work together with you, I would have to be inspired to work through the things that still manipulate me and make me think this way, feel this way, live this way. And you've kind of closed out that cycle and you're moving forward maybe in a new cycle or different. And I still have my people or friends or family or ways of living life that I'm not ready to become independent of, and they may never become independent of it. And some might. Well, at some future date, they can come talk to you. And just like when you kind of learn some lessons and detach from an old foundation and you move forward, some people that, maybe before you turned your back on some people. And then some of those people could be kind of shocked, like, well, I didn't think you really wanted to be my friend or hang out. And it's like, well, I had these issues going on. And, I was kind of caught up in this and had some growing up and maturing to do. And then people could be shocked that, wow, and then it's just up for those people to decide if they kind of think you're on the same page now, if they are people you knew before, or people you never really invested in getting to know more before, and then they could be surprised that you just seem different than you were before or something, right? Let's see what's coming up. Some people are single, they want something to move forward, and they're not sure if the person they're in a relationship with is kind of willing to kind of give up being a more, kind of like a player in the world. And as they keep moving forward, some of those people, if the people in High Vibe Virgo are being loving and encouraging, some of those people might work through some of their fears and insecurities about maybe committing and taking just a relationship to the next level, being a little more committed. And for some other people, as time goes by, it doesn't make it to that next phase, right? But high vibe people, no matter what, they know they treated people in an authentic, just, and fair and loving way. They can take all those traits and characteristics with them. And the people who maybe didn't act in a just and fair and authentic way, they can take those traits and characteristics with them to the next relationship. And sometimes I think some people are so afraid of being more just and fair and authentic and loving. Kind of this pride ego thing, like, well, what if it doesn't work out? Then, like, I'd be mad that I was more authentic, just, and fair and loving. I tell you, I have a real hard time wrapping my brain around that one. It's just, get out of your ego. It's kind of like, no, like, I'm like this, like as if I were to do that, it can't go wrong. Well, there are no guarantees in life. How about be proud of yourself that you acted in truth and love, and you humbled yourself to not be fake and superficial and defensive, and you gave it everything you had. And if it doesn't work out, then you say, I'm proud of myself, and I'm going to take all those things and positive traits and characters with me to the next job, friendship, or relationship if these people didn't appreciate it. But I do think some people, it's kind of like I'm only willing to do that if I think it's like a definite guarantee. Well, they're going to have other people leave relationships with them and move on because it's like, I'm too precious to share my authentic self with. Unless it's a guarantee, it's like, other people are going to leave to go work with other fallible human beings who are willing to work together with a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in others and in love. What's coming up for the high vibe people they might not see coming? The Knight of Cups, the Four of Swords, and the Virgo Hermit. Why? Because of the King of Cups. The high vibe people are inspired by love, and they have a dream. And the Four of Swords is Libra energy again, which can be, they want these just and fair and balanced relationships with people who harness high vibe Virgo energy. People who have done some of this inner work to get out of their fear and their insecurity and their ego and being full of themselves and immature or whatever. And if the people in their life aren't those type of people, or some of the people in their life aren't, it's like, you know what, you do you, and I'm going to go do me. I am searching for people who are insightful, mature, are who they say they are. Not people who try to create an illusion, oh, I'm this just, fair, stable, balanced, loving, mature person that you should get in a friendship or relationship with or work for. But they're not. And so some people are going to detach from some people out of love for themselves to get the justice they deserve. And as they offered truth and love to people and listened to their intuition more than their fear and their codependency and whatever, they were willing to deal with the truth. Some of the people in my life are not just and fair, are not more independent, are hiding the truth. They're maybe in a mental prison, aren't over a different relationship, or more about the world or the ego or the image, or indulging themselves. And I'm going to go invest my time, energy, and effort into the people who I think are more authentic and insightful and just and fair and loving. And sometimes people can stay in those more mismatched relationships because, I don't know, again, it can kind of be more of a thing of trying to change other people, maybe versus being in a relationship where it challenges you to have to heal and grow and mature. Or because you really hadn't learned to love yourself. And then as people are in those more mismatched relationships, it's just like, fuck it, I do deserve love. And I am willing, and I think I've healed and grown a lot here, and I'm willing to keep doing that with someone who I might have thought is a little bit out of my comfort zone, that it requires me to do that work and effort and have more hope and faith and belief in myself, and damn it, I'm going to do it. And I'm looking for other people who say the same thing. And I think as you move forward in that energy, there's other people in that energy looking for other people also who have went through things like this, and friendships and jobs that are looking for other people who are in that energy. And I think those, just like you'll invest in them, they'll invest in you. But it starts with you doing this work within yourself and healing, dealing with the truth, seeing what manipulates you and where you need to heal and grow and mature yourself, to not keep repeating that same pattern just with different people. No, I am not going to repeat that pattern, People have to be more just, fair, balanced, stable, and work together with me from love, or they can go. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Virgo nature that they might not see coming? We have the Page of Cups, and the reason is because of the Two of Cups. Well, I think if there is people who like to live more from their mind than their heart, other people do this work to free themselves, to have a little more hope and faith and belief and love. But those people, they also learn to love their self and their own inner child nature. And the Page of Cups can represent all three of the water signs, Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. In all three of their emotional water sign energies, they decided in their free will to love themselves and not keep living more from their mind than their heart, and making decisions more from the fear and insecurities or lust or the greed. And they're emotionally more aligned with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And the Two of Cups can kind of represent, which one we align with. And anybody who's in a more maybe worldly or shadowy viewpoint of life can always be shocked when other people do that, because they don't do that. They have their things that manipulate them, their fear, their insecurity, their lust, their greed, their codependency, their want for these things of the world. And they would make, and that's what ultimately is going to happen, I think, to some of the people who are more about themselves or more driven by whatever these other things of the world that they value over love, is they're going to be end up in relationships with people who harness it in a more shadowy way, just like them. And then I think they'll probably be kind of overwhelmed in it, because nobody's really, people aren't growing up and maturing themselves, or not connected in with their emotions or their intuition. It is all about and driven by either these things we indulge in to make ourselves feel better, or, it's just looking to the wrong thing to be the answer. Love is the answer. But it's like, no, I think being in a relationship, that's the answer. Then I'll feel better. It's like, no, because you're still in your head and in a mental prison and overwhelmed, haven't learned to love yourself. You can get in 5,500 relationships. And until you learn to love yourself, no one else can love you enough to free you from the things that manipulate you. Only you. That's like Virgo. Virgo is also about the self, doing this inner work within yourself. But that's what some people can do. They can get, that is some people's truth. I don't have to do that work within myself. No, that's not my truth. No, I get in relationships with people. They're the answer. I just have to find the right person. And if I find the right person, then I'll be happy. And all these things that have me in a mental prison, and me being unhappy, or me feeling overwhelmed, or doing kind of more immature, impulsive, reckless things out of my fear or insecurity, all that will magically go away because I got in a relationship with the person that's the right person for me. No, that is someone who severely has illusions about what it means to be in a relationship with someone. Very codependent. And if they get in relationships with people and they haven't dealt with these issues and these things come bubbling up to the surface, then it's like, oh my gosh, you must be the wrong person. I've got to let you go. I got to go find me someone else because my issues bubbled up. And I wouldn't have my fears and my insecurities, and I wouldn't be unhappy and up in my head. It's like, you can end up being up in your head and unhappy and feeling overwhelmed no matter what. No one can fill an empty cup. Only you can fill the empty cup within yourself. And that's what the Page of Cups can be. I'm very codependent. I'm looking to other people, and, Some people have been trying and creating an illusion that they're much more stable, balanced, mature than they really are, and they're not. And some of the people they might align with aren't either, even though they might look very successful by worldly standards or stable and normal like other people in the world, but they're really kind of more immature or something, and maybe a little manipulative and prideful, and don't want to see the truth about how they're kind of immature, or try to live more from their mind than their heart and stay more disconnected. All in this picture here, the Nine of Cups is in reverse, which is the only, well, at the center is the Cancer reading, but in shadow, the Chariot can be, it's about trying to create the illusion that you're these loving people. But they could be people who really do not connect in with their emotions at all. Kind of use their emotions more manipulatively and in a more superficial and shallow way. Just like they could use their sexuality and their words and their money and their power and their influence. All of them to try to create this illusion about the type of person they are, so people will get in relationship with them. And then people end up feeling overwhelmed being in a relationship, trying to move a relationship forward that they think being in a relationship with a more grown, mature, stable, balanced, loving person shouldn't be that difficult, but it keeps not moving forward that way. And eventually the high vibe people in their life are like, I wish you peace, but I think there's some things going on here that you might not want to see the truth of. And I can't make you see the truth of it. So if you want to stay in denial of the truth, or if you are just want to be more immature, or you want to be more about yourself, or you want to be more about the world, then you go do that. And if there's someone else who wants to do that life with you, wonderful. But it's not for me. And I'm leaving. And then they might get in relationships with people who are kind of more on the same page as them. And, maybe if they're more on the same page, it's kind of like, you could say, say people have the emotional maturity and how they interact with people in a relationship. They could be 45, 55, 65 years old. But they kind of have these, they just didn't invest and put much work and effort into emotionally kind of growing and maturing their emotional nature. They could have put a lot of work and effort into a lot of other things in the world that are very victorious and successful, but emotionally they're just kind of more immature. So it could kind of like almost like being in a relationship with someone who's more like between 15 and 21 years old, but they're really like 55, right? Well, they might get in a relationship with someone else who didn't do much work in that area. It might be a very challenging relationship because there's not someone in the relationship who is kind of the stabilizing force that is maybe more stable or balanced or mature. And they both might have these fears and insecurities, but maybe together they could help each other work through those things, because and get them starting to move forward. But some other people are like, I can't do this. If I am 45 or 55 or 65 and I've learned some of these lessons in life, I don't expect that getting in a relationship was that they're going to do some things like, oh my God, that is like you are acting or behaving in a way that kind of seems reminiscent of people when I was 18 years old. No, I am not doing this. And if you, for some reason, think that's kind of just and fair, I think you're quite immature. And I think you've showed me the truth of that I need to quit investing in you and I need to move on. See the truth, accept the truth, and let them go, and let them go be that way or act that way or whatever, or create that illusion with someone else. And if that person buys into the illusion, for as long as that person stays in a relationship with them or whatever, or has them work for them, let them. I'm moving on. I've seen the truth. And I think too when we are in a more mismatched relationship, we really sometimes don't want to see the truth because we really want this to work out the way we want. And we have this dream and we keep hoping people will heal or grow or whatever. But that's sometimes when the divine can step in, and it could be even, people maybe even being tempted to do something that's not more just and fair and more immature, so that the more high vibrational people will see the truth. You need to go. You are ready. You have completed this cycle. You are ready to have this new emotional beginning. You have learned the lesson you were meant to learn at this phase of life. Some of the people in your life didn't. Some of the people in your life will move forward with you. And you need to see the truth about the people who didn't. And even though they might want to come with and have you hide the truth, you're not willing to hide the truth. And some people aren't willing to reveal the truth. So because of that, it can't move forward or deal with the truth. And they're going to have to go repeat that pattern with someone else because you're moving forward. And again, it can sound really harsh, but just like when we're 18, 21, and 25, we can live our life at a certain stage of life. And it's like, I'm kind of ready to move forward in life differently. You want those friends to move forward with you. You're loving and encouraging and supportive. But if it keeps not changing eventually over time, it's going to stop me from moving forward. And I'm going to be repeating an old pattern. And I might, I can't blame them. It would be because of some of my own fear of insecurity of closing out a chapter with them and becoming independent of them. Well, if I don't want to get stuck in a cycle that could really start to tear down the foundation of my life, I need to stand up out of love for myself to get the justice I deserve, to invest in my truth, and they can keep investing in their truth. If we still can be social acquaintances and get along, fine. If not, fine. But high vibe energy wishes people peace and love. But sometimes some shadowy people really don't like it, and they can, like, well, if you do that, then I don't want to be your friend, or I'm going to turn my back on you. And, it's crazy if you've known some people, even in their own families. It's like, if you don't live life like the way we do, and if you don't, if you become more independent, well, we're going to like turn our back on you because you're not kind of letting us manipulate and control you anymore. And some people know that because they love those people, they're not willing to become more independent of those people. And even if they're in friendships or relationships or marriages, if those people are like, oh, well, we don't think we really like them, and, we don't like that you're becoming more independent with them, and we don't think you should work with them anymore, and you need to choose between us or them, and these are people that they could build a life together with, like be married to. Because of their friend or family group, they will let go of the people who they could have had a dream come into reality with, but because they're so overwhelmed about maybe standing up for their truth and offering their friends or family love, but I am my own individual and I am creating my own life separate from this. And if that's not okay with you, then I'm willing to let you go. And they weren't willing to kind of stand up for themselves. So, now those people kind of ended up indulging, just like we can indulge our fear, our lust, our greed, our ego, we can indulge other people in our life. And when we don't take action more in truth and love, we're going to have some hard lessons to learn. And we're going to find that we repeated an old pattern again. But for some people, they will never free themselves from things that manipulate them or people. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.